Alright everyone, now we're going to be going live. Well, we are live already. We're going to start to show up real soon. Just gonna check some other things. Got the replay work night a little late tonight. About an hour behind what I usually like to. I don't usually like to go at this time because it runs into other very popular shows that I like to avoid trying to compete with as much as possible. But I figure it's been too long since without a show. I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm a little tired. I just had to cut up some PVC pipe, but you know, I'm all good. I can do this. Won't be too long. Let's move on now. So here I am. How you doing? How you doing? So what I really want to focus on today is, I tried to do yesterday, it didn't work out, but it's working now, is I'm going to be focused on jungling. Jungling is fun. It is probably one of the most fun roles I think you can play in a game like this, especially LoL. It's incredibly fun. Jungling for you, for the noobs out there, it's basically where you have, let me explain the rules real quick for those of you, basically. Top lane is a single laner, mid lane, single laner, bottom lane, double lane, support and AD carry. But then you have the fifth member, who can either double up with top or mid, depending on how you want to play. I've seen it done both ways. Or, you can go into the jungle and you can jungle. Jungling adds a lot of extra benefits to your team, such as leaving 2 lanes now with one person, so they will gain XP much faster. You'll also gain XP faster since you will be alone. It also adds for rune protection on your jungle. Since you have runes, you don't want the other team to get them. You want to be able to control those, make sure you know who has them and you know the other team isn't getting them. It also adds that just roaming player to your mix who can really just very powerfully gank any lane pretty much at any time. If you feel like you're being pushed really hard, you can call for a gank and you can just walk right down and he's got you. So that's really the best power for a ganker right there, is to be a jungler, and it just works out very well. In today's game, we'll bring up, yes. Now, actually, let me fix this real quick. It's a little not how I want it to look in the video screen. I want it full screen just so I have the best possible way to use it, and you guys can still see fine. So, alright. And today we're focusing on a game with not him, but Udyr, one of my favorite jungles. He's just born to jungle, I find. And since junglers are a lot different from laning capabilities, where it's like the 2 opposing laners are right next to each other all game, it's not so much the case. I'm actually gonna start the game here and pop it up just a little bit so you can see the beginning. I will be following Udyr to start off with. Doesn't really move in the beginning. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to focus on both junglers, as it'd be pretty repetitive, as they do compete to a point, but I can really explain all the competitiveness just from the point of view of one. I just chose Udyr because I like Udyr a lot. He's also a jungler. Yeah, well he's probably one of the best junglers. He doesn't exactly start right away, so that's a little too bad for them. But you know what happens, and blue team realized this, so they're like, well, ooh, not good. And actually, we'll catch Rise right there. Bam! Don't you hate when it happens? But Udyr does come in, picks up a Hunter's Machete, and a health potion. So now I'm gonna start the game now that it's actually started. And I'm gonna look over Udyr and just explain why I find him to be such a good jungler. It's pretty obvious, I find. First, let's look at his abilities. You have his Monkey Agility, where as soon as he enters one of his stances being all of his abilities from his Q all the way up to his R, his ultimate. Whenever he enters this stance or activates an ability, he gets 10 extra attack speed and 4 extra armor and magic resist for 5 seconds. That's really good for a jungler because he needs to rely pretty much solely on himself to get all his power from it, all his healing. And any extra buffs like that, so helpful. It lets you get a little more focused on a bit more damage. Like you see, he gets to pick a 100 steady, which is a great jungle item because it deals extra damage to monsters, and it stacks. Does it stack? No, it doesn't stack. No, a lot stacked. His Q, his Tiger Stance, which increases his attack speed. Again, very good as you want to take down his creeps fast so you can move on to the next camp as soon as possible. The camp being obviously where you'll find the creep. Let's go back to him real quick. Well, let's just stare at his bearish face. I can't. Can I zoom down? Am I able to do that? How do I do that? I think it's... yeah, there it is. And then I can turn, can I? Wait, we're right. Wait, yes. No, okay. Close enough. We're right in his mannish face. That's a really great aspect about the game. I like that you can do this. We're just right down there. But for now, we'll just be here. Anyway, moving on to his next ability. He has his turtle stance, which, one, he can't be critical hit, which is just great for when going in for a champion fight, especially if you're going to be fighting against someone when you know they have a Yi, or someone like Yi who has a lot of attack speed and likes to build critical hits in lifesteal. When you have Udyr, who it can't be can't get a critical hit on him, it's a fantastic bonus to have. And also I'm stealing 10% of his damage and health as mana. So that's good. He has a bit more lasting power when it comes to his mana. Doesn't worry about that nearly as much. And you're also getting to obviously his shield of which blocks 60 plus whatever AP damage. So just the shield is also good. Moving on, Bear Stance. His E is first of all he will just go and do a massive amount of damage, and then he will stun them. His stun is actually one of his greatest champion taking down abilities when it comes to engaging on a fight. He'll just run in and he'll slap that target and they will just be stunned. It's just funny to me because I just like to picture a giant bear of a man in a giant like robe toga just slapping you and you're like, I'm stunned. Bear man slapped me. And on activation, he gets the increased movement speed, which will let him track down his target. Not really so much for jungling as it is for ganking, but that's the balance you need as a jungler. You need both lasting and solo potential plus ganking potential, which comes in the form of Bear Stance. And finally, his ultimate, where he grabs his Phoenix Stance, my favorite one. First of all, every set attack, he will engulf his enemies in front of him in flame. Fire is just fun. It's just a fun element. It's just fire, and you're beyond fire. It's hilarious. And then slowly, as he does it, he just continually does magic damage in the form of fire, every second for 5 seconds, and it's all based off his ability power for his flat damage, and then it's also increased attack damage. So as he uses it, he just becomes more powerful, which is fantastic. Also, looking at summoner spells when it comes to your jungling, a smite is the must. You must have a smite because as you can see, it deals 490 true damage to target enemy, and that being the enemy being a minion, only the minions. You will be able to take down minions so much faster, and you're really just wasting so much potential if you do not grab it. You'll slow yourself down. You'll probably die more likely to creeps. That you will die. Shouldn't die, but you can. It is possible, and it's a bitch when it happens. He also grabs a flash. Dilemma is really just down to personal preference and what champion you're going to be playing. With flash, it's not a bad idea for Udyr. I would more go for some more damage output, like an ignite. I think that would serve him a little better, depending on just how you plan on playing him. If you plan on playing a little more defensively, a flash is a bad idea. But if you plan on really engaging with the enemy a lot, ignite is a perfect idea, as it will just... I know flash will let you chase down an enemy, but ignite lets you just basically do the same thing, but then you can just kind of stay back and let it do its work as they fall down. Now that I've explained that and basic thought patterns behind it, you can go back into it and just start from the very tippy and go get his items, because I love items. He grabs a machete, a hunter's machete, which is clever enough off the bat, because as I said, lets you stack items. You always want to grab just a very cheap item that lets you do extra damage or possibly extra armor, as that's basically what you're going to be doing with it. You will always pretty much want to steal the golem buff first. As you can see, the golem buff is the blue buff, which allows for extra magic AP power and mana regen. See, he now does have it. As you can see, it says right here, increasing mana and energy generation, 20% cooldown reduction on their abilities. But you can lose it. You can lose any rune ability just by dying. That's something always important. Remember, you will lose it. It's a pretty beginnerish episode, as I want to be really in depth when it comes to jungling. It's probably the most complicated role I find, and it's one you really want to focus on. And now, just gonna pause again, and we're gonna look at what Udyr just did right there. What he did was he went into the enemy jungle and stole their blue buff, as he realized they don't have a jungler. That's a really big risk you take when you don't have a jungler, is you leave your jungle pretty open to being invaded by the enemy jungler if they do decide to go in. So that's why if you see one going, it's pretty good idea to go, unless you really gonna want to commit. You will want to commit your either your mid or your top to constantly checking the jungle, at least in this area here, and then someone to come and check here, probably to support, just to constantly check that and make sure your buffs are not being stolen, because you don't want your enemy getting too many extra buffs, or it just gives them more of an edge than you probably care to. And now to look at you see he did steal the golem buff, which is the basic one you want to start. The very basic thing. I'm gonna keep saying basic because it's basic. As it offers you that extra cooldown reduction, which is all that extra lasting power. Cooldown reduction and mana regen. Mana regen is very important, as it is a fantastic amount of mana regen. So you can basically not have to worry about it. You can just buy straight health pots, so you don't have to worry about mana potions, and it saves you money to buy more health pots and last longer. And then usually right after that play, I'm sorry, excuse me while I rub my eyes, they're a little sore. Yeah, there's a couple of different paths you can go from there. You can go straight for the next buff, which is the red buff of the Lizard Elder, which is just a really great power increase. Or you can usually go for the Wolf Camp. I'm going to be focused completely on this side. I don't want to be jumping around too much through the jungle, which is usually the Wolf Camp found here. Or you're going to want to go into the Wraith Camp, which is just good. And now we see he has picked up the red buff. He now slows the target and burns him, burns them as time goes on. So very good ability to have off the bat. The Wraiths offer that special bonus of also health regen, so it's a good pickup for if you're a little low on health and you don't want exactly a standard health pot. It's a pretty good idea to go for that. And we also see it's very important that you build extra health pots to be able to go in. And now we see the junglers in a very awkward position, as the enemy team was able to they immediately went straight all mid and took out that tower, which is a very unorthodox thing to do. We're not really focusing on that so much, and we have to see them make the jungle make some pretty strange decisions as how he is going to protect the mid, as he is pretty much holding at this point. The other team trying to make something happen, so they all have their own special things they're up for right now. You see Edo go back, he's extended pretty much all his health pots and sold them, and to immediately pick up a Modred Razor. The Modred Razor is it's just a very perfect jungle item. Very great, as not only does it give armor, but it's just that it's that critical chance of dealing 300 damage to any minion. Very good. Very, very good. You want that, because then you can just take out minions super fast. We see Udyr in an awkward position where he can't really jungle right now. He's kind of stuck defending as he waits for the rest of the team. He'd love to jungle, but one part that comes along with being in jungle is defending lanes when they can't be defended by their normal people. It's something that you should really try and keep in mind. That's something you always want to do, because since you're always around and you don't have an actual lane, you can basically be in any lane that you want to be. And that's something any good jungler should be aware of. The ability to do is just go between jungles and go between lanes in case anyone needs to be held while the person, and it goes back to buy items are because they were knocked down pretty low. They still have buff? Yes, they did. They get stolen buff like a dick. It sucks when your buff gets stolen, but good thing he already stole theirs too, so it kind of evens out. This is an odd game, but I love it. I can see the blue team with their very unorthodox style to go straight down to the mid to do a lot of damage. Udyr now doing a very good tactic of hit and run. It's very guerrilla-ish warfare style, where he will go in, he will do some damage, and he will come back out. Try and bait him in a position where his teammates, someone like Blitzcrank, can use their arm to drag them out of position, away from the team, and then they can just beat on them from there and try and take them out one by one. You see now,